Alright, Craig's been doing a bit more to the wagon. Let's check this out.
Okay, so we're all cleaned up, sanded back. Come up pretty good. As I said, I'm not going to finish this off just yet until the windscreen goes in. I'll take it down, and I'm just waiting on a new gun to turn up because I really want to try these spot weld tips. So I'm going to give them a go on there. What I am going to do though is I'm going to get stuck into some of this today. Pretty cool. Turned up. So it looks awesome. Feels really good. We'll lay it down and see how she comes up. Okay, so we're ready for the windscreen to go in tomorrow. Dash is in. We're coated up nicely here. I just used the KBS blacktop on here with a brush again, and I will say the difference is massive if you use one of, should already had it out but I didn't, use one of these, and you get these off KBS as well. Got to be one of these brushes. Difference is enormous in laying it down, so you don't get the streaks. It levels out beautiful. If I had gone that path, I would have got a lot better result on the inside of the plenum, but I was happy with the way it was. But again, this is nice. Not worried about it being a little bit thicker. It'll be a little bit, I probably can't pick it up in this, but it'll be a little bit wavy in that, because this oh, you can see it a bit there. On here where it's a bit thicker in spots, but that's just with the brush. Windscreen's going in, the rubber will cover most of it, and again, this is the look that I want to go for this car. So I'll give you a quick look in here. I've got a bit of the KBS in, really good stuff. So we've got our firewall done. Oh, I probably should have got something before I put the dash in, but I didn't. But anyway, lays down really good. I'm not the world's best expert on laying this stuff, but I can tell you once it goes on and it's adhered to it, it sticks good, nice and thick, really good to work with. All right, everyone, welcome back. I've had a few days off. First of all, thanks everyone who's been following Dave's channel and watching this build. I do read the comments. Thanks to everyone who's put a comment on there, taking the time to do so, mate. Thank you very much. Now, I did mention earlier on that we would have a code for the KBS sound deadener, and we do. Unless Dave knows how to put these little things in the corners, I'll let him do that. I don't. But the code is COOPSSD. That is COOPZSD. You put some KBS sound deadener in your cart. Once you apply that code, you will then get a free applicator kit, courtesy of Adrian at KBS. So thanks again, mate. Really appreciate you doing that. You didn't have to, and thank you. Really enjoy using your product. So what we're going to do, I will finish cleaning this up, and I'll do a bit of a post as I go. I'm going to get a heat gun, and I will heat it to roll around these grooves in the floor a little bit better. But that'll be another. You might get time to do it on this episode. I'm not sure. I've done all the firewall. Just going to climb in under here, show you what we got. So I think I did mention in one of them, I am not the best or most experienced person in laying the sound deadener down. So there's a few little crinkles in there, but that's got nothing to do with the product. That is me. I did not use a heat gun when I put these down. It would have made life a bit easier. But as you can see, the stuff goes on real well. Roll up in under here as well. So done all the fiddly bits in here. That took a bit of time. All right, so we'll get into that one in a bit. Right, crawl back out of here now. Right, now what I've been doing is I've migged up the plenum along here. So here we are. It's come up pretty good. Sort of starting to cut some of the stuff out. I'll probably get a bit boring if we just keep going over the same stuff. So that one there's pretty much done. I'll put a little bit of filler on that, not much, which is what we want. And I've just started to spot this one up. So you can see along here, and look at that, perfect little gap, fits exactly where it was. Now what I did do as well, I put a bit of Sikaflex 227, just smeared it along this seam here, just to help with the moisture that's going to sit in there. It shouldn't really affect it with the new coatings of the day, like KBS and that. It should be pretty good, but I did put it under there anyway, just out of curiosity. Rightio, we'll finish that one up and show you the end result. Righto, welcome back to one shitter. So what I'm doing, I've had a bit of a break. I've had to clean up the yard a bit. They're developing it, so I've had to move a lot of my stuff out of the way. A bit of a pain in the bum, but anyway, been finding a bit of stuff doing it, so that's good. Rightio, what I'm doing now is making fake spot weld marks. I have migged the plenum back on. Then what I do is grind the welds flat. I then get the die grinder or a belt file or a Dremel. Take your pick. I use the belt file, and then I hit the top of the weld and just make a little indentation in the top of it. And then what I do is I prime that, and then once I've primed it, I get a pencil and I draw a circle around those where the spot welds were, so I know where they are. Then I put a smear a filler over it, and then I sand that back until I can just see the pencil mark. And then I get I'll prime it, and then I'll get like a little Dremel. You don't even have to prime it first, you can do it either, but I primed it. And then I get a little Dremel with one of those barrel bits in it, so it sort of looks like that. And then I go through and I make little circles or thereabouts, and it doesn't have to be perfect circles because they're not perfect circles when they're done. And I'll just make a little indentation in that, and then I'll prime that again, and then when we put some paint on it, it should look like a spot weld. I haven't actually done it like this before, but this will be the first time, so let's see how it turns out. If it looks like shit, then you don't have to do it. Rightio, so we've just given it a bit of a dusting with an airbrush, the cheapest airbrush you could possibly find. Probably a bit too big of a job for an airbrush, but I'm just trying to replicate that sort of patina look. I'm going to rub through it. I'm not too worried about how sort of dry it looks. I'm just going to give it a big buff up tomorrow, and I don't know, go from there. If it looks like I've got to mix some more up, I will. And if it doesn't work at all, then I'll just mix it up in a proper spray gun and give that a shot. Anyway, wait and see what it looks like tomorrow. There's the fake spot welds I did. Don't look too bad. Well, I think they're alright anyway, again, for this thing. So, some might look a little bit too perfect, but it's in round-wise, but again, good enough for this. So, see if we can buff that, because it's only really light dusting. So we'll see if we can buff that back, and hopefully when we buff it, it rubs, it'll actually cut back through into the primer, and then that's how we'll leave it. It had a bit extra left over, so I'll just give this a bit of a spurt, but I will mix up in a proper gun and do this bit. For now, a bit of trial and error, a bit of practice makes perfect, or that's the plan. Anyway, we'll keep at it. Okay, so about to give the dash a bit of a degrease. Yes, I'm using this dash. So I'll give it a little bit of a spray soak here just to see what will happen. Yeah, it's going to come up half okay for what I want. I'm just about to give it a hit with some degreaser. No idea what it's going to do to the dash. Ratio is about this and about that. So let's give it a shot and let's see what happens. Ooh, yeah. Get over here too. Look at that. It's important to always test a small area first in case you get a reaction. Always important. So there's our small area covered. Alright, let that sink in and hose her off and give her a bit of vinyl revival and see what happens. Rightio, so we got it finished off here. Let it sit for that for the day. And got a bit more time back onto it. This is how it come up. So I'll just give that bit of a rub back there before. Use some 1500 and then some 2000 grit, just so you know I'm not going to polish it up. So you don't want to see the lines in that in it. So I went that way and just kept rubbing it back until I got some primer through, and then I went and got some bit of spray putty. Just spurted a bit of spray putty onto here and then again hit it with the 1500. I actually just used the 2000 on that, sorry. And then just hit that with 2000 and kept going until sort of, got the look that I was happy with. And that's it's pretty much, it's what it's all about. Just do it till you're happy with it. Yeah, that's the finished result on that. So these are the spot welds I did. Again, give it a rub to get some rub throughs. The only bit that I did polish was just through, and again I just used a bit of frecular, I think it was G3, and rub that on it and give that a bit of just by hand. So I don't need to go any harder than that for this. And then this side, same deal. Just give it a rub back and put a bit of the spray putty again. That's original, that stuff there. So I just sort of, when I went through there, I went and thought, oh yeah, we'll spray a bit of that on there, and sort of looks all right, I think. So again, spot welds on this side. So they're original. These are the ones I made. So flatten them out again with the sanding disc, and then got a belt file. Just give them a bit of a touch up, so there's a nice little divot in there, very very fine bit of filler, and then just use the Dremel again and just made the shapes that I want. Doesn't have to be perfect because they don't look perfect from factory. So I'm pretty happy with how that looked. The lower bit down the dory I was messing around with, I will mix that up in a bigger spray gun because it's just pushing a bit too much for a airbrush to try to get that, and the consistency is awful. So as you can see, so we'll mix that up and go again, and then give that a bit of a rub through there to how I want. But at the top of this plenum, that's exactly how it's going to stay. I will just give that a little bit of a sand up though, and then I'll put a bit of clear over it, and then same thing, give that a bit of a sand back, and just to sort of dullen it up a bit. And then hopefully I can get this out in the yard, give it a bit of a clean out again inside, and I can start putting some of that KVS sound, deaden it down, and yeah, give it a bit more of a review, and see what everyone thinks. So yeah, dash is in. Looking pretty happy with that too. So this is, I'll use this steering wheel and everything, the whole lot. Anyway, probably a bit of a short video this week, and hopefully I can get a bit longer one done for you next week. And look, if there's anything in the comments you want to see less of or none of, chuck it in the comments if you're enjoying it. Awesome. And yeah, hopefully I can get this engine in. Be cool. Rightio, so we're going to stop work on the floor now. I've got it all cleaned up. There's a little bit of a crack there. We drilled both ends of the crack and then run a weld on it. I'll give that a bit of a clean up, but for now I'm actually waiting on, I just ordered off SST Performance, that's Adrian down there.
Coincidence, everybody's name's Adrian, I think. But anyway, Adrian SSD Performance, I get ordered some chassis connectors off him, so I'm just waiting for those to turn up, and then we'll weld those into place before I put the KBS sound deadener down, so I don't send things on fire. So what I've decided to do between now and then is we're going to start attacking the wiring on this. Sneak around in here. Rightio, so if you're ever doing these, I'd personally recommend you should always relay the headlights. Whether you got higher bulbs or not, it's just worth doing because these things are getting old. Those who don't know how to do it, I'm just going to tell you how to do it. Rightio, so red wire is high beam. This is a CL. I couldn't imagine them changing. Maybe they're doing the real early stuff, but I'm pretty sure they're the same. If they are different, someone leave a comment in there. But anyway, red is high beam, white is low beam, which I've snipped off here. So what you're going to do with these are coming from the switch. So each one of these, you're going to need 2 relays. So one for low beam, one for high beam. One of these goes to 86 on your relay. This will also go to 86 on the other relay. Then this end that goes to your headlights, they go to 87. Again, each relay 87, not the same relay, you'll have all sorts of problems. And then you need to run a battery, pick up battery power. You can either run it direct from the battery or pick it up from a starter motor, somewhere that you choose. I generally just run everything from the battery, and that wire will go to 30. And then you need 85, which will go to earth. So, in a direct earth. So, and that will then relay your headlights for you. Right, pretty simple job. You just got to snip the wiring out and run it to how you want. So what I do with the valves that I do, I'll show you a little bit of a sneaky thing that, again, just works for me. I like it. This battery carrier was out of something else I was mucking around with, so ignore that. It's going to work fine for this car. So I actually hide everything underneath the battery carrier. So there are my relays tucked up under there. I should mention, sparkies. Hang on, there we go. That's a live wire. So what I do, didn't mention, that's a circuit breaker under there. 20 amps enough, so I run that in between the battery. So that way, if something shorts out, your headlights aren't going to just pop and then go out. They'll be cutting in and out. So, but they'll be also fused inside the car. So important you run one of them in between the battery wire that you're going to run to your 30. So back to the battery carrier. I drill these out because most of them are rusted out nowadays, and then I just bolt them through. I get some nutserts, just drill the spot welds out, and then nutsert. And these ones here, I just tacked a couple of nuts on the end of them, and then you can pull your battery carrier in and out, access all your wiring. Simple. This little setup here, I just actually had not a circuit breaker, a battery isolator switch under here in another car. So what I did in that is just drilled a hole out here, put a plate underneath it, made a little bracket down, and it was all underneath it. I may or may not put it in this one, I don't know. Anyway, that's how you re-air headlights. I'll show you it all when I'm done. Okay, so we've got our headlights wired up. I'm going to show you, we take that out of place. There's our relays, they're saying. Now, the other one with the yellow wires, that's our new starter relay. So put them in there. Again, voltage drop is an issue with these old cars. So that happens when the car's hot, and sometimes you might go, the key's dead, there's nothing there at all. Then when the car cools down, it starts. That's voltage drop. So they do have a relay on them, starter relay up here, but I'm going to get rid of that. In this car, I'm probably just going to leave it because I want that old look under here, but it is no longer connected. So How I do that is same thing. So from the starter wire, or sorry, the ignition from the key goes to 86. The wire going to the starter motor goes out from 8, goes to 87, and then to your starter motor. 30 is battery, 85 is earth. I use individual earths on each relay, so if I get a problem, I'm not worrying about trying to track back to an earth. I can go to each individual relay and check for a problem if there is one or it does happen. So that's it.
Alright, some great work there once again. Craig's got that old wagon going on now. She's going to be a very cool thing. I can't wait to go for a spin in it. Thanks again, mate, for taking the time to make the videos. Really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody does. And if you haven't already, you know the drill. Please like, subscribe, share it around, and have a good one. Cheers.